Fuck. Hello and welcome.
Oh, bloody hell, Dawkins! Get it together, man.
Welcome to our house.
I think the Dane is from Aarhus.
Our house in the middle of our street.
Aarhus. Yeah, there's a dude this feast.
It's like the Quest being shouted out at a madness gig. Our house! Alright, okay, we'll play it.
And it's gone, and my subtitle has gone, which didn't take long at all. So I will just take up the whole screen instead. Well, that was disappointing. Hello, and welcome to the Ivory and Part 9. If any of you are familiar with Google Hangouts and know why my apps only work for a limited amount of time, if you can comment below and let me know, that'd be much appreciated so that I can start playing a Vampire the Masquerade YouTube experiment. Because Zig made a fantastic little nameplate with an illustration and all kinds of lovely things for me. And it stands up for about 5 seconds before then disappearing. It might be my connection speed. If that's the case, that's the case. But any advice from anyone familiar with Hangouts would be wunderbar. So, we come back to the Ivory Wall, Part 9. A lot happened in Part 8. Revelations became clear. Things became clear. And I'm going to turn it over to the players to actually recap for anyone too lazy to watch Part 8. So, I see John is muted, which means, Eunice, you have the floor.
Okay, well, the session started where we had already captured an impaled party boy. So we had him in our trunk, and we were thinking about where to take him. We went to the sheriff's place, but the sheriff wasn't there. He was most likely not there because we had told him about the church, and he had most likely gone off to investigate that. So we were anxiously looking for a place to, a safe house and a place to take the body of or the incapacitated party boy, where we could, trust the people we're turning to. And we then turned to Helga. We called her in advance that we're coming. We drove there, but once we got there, the people that came to meet us were people we hadn't seen before. Like, they seemed regular, staff of her household and stuff, but they were still people we didn't really recognize. And we did recognize that there was a familiar-looking Rolls-Royce, which belongs to the Chancellor Joanna Richter of the Tremere clan.
Actually, it was the Primogen's car. Ah.
She's the Chancellor of. No, wait. That's right. Yeah, actually, yeah, it was Albert Prendergast, the Tremere, whose Rolls-Royce was there, and the Chancellor thing was just our own wild theory. Yeah. So basically, with the staff that looked suspicious by them being new, the highly explosive cargo we were carrying, that could easily make us very much targets of our enemies, we decided not to take a chance, and we drove off. And while we were driving away to simply go somewhere where we couldn't be followed, I was contacting Marcia Blumenfeld, a fellow Toreador and a trustworthy ally, and I asked her for a safe house that's not an Elysium, because I don't want any other vampires to be there to hear our conversations or see us come in or anything like that. And she gave us an address, some very off the map type of a suburban area where there's a house that's on sale that has a basement level on it. And we went there, and in this place, basically, while we were waiting for Marcia to arrive, we were planning out what we're gonna do and how we're gonna take extra precautions with everything. How one of my ghouls is going to be in the car with the cargo a little distance away, only to arrive if I give the signal that everything's okay, and all this sort of stuff, and we were planning out everything to be very smart about everything. And then when Marcia came in, we went to the basement. We let her know about what was going on. We brought Party Boy in. We duct taped him into basically being a mommy caterpillar fetus type of a thing, and we pulled the impaled apparatus out of his out of his chest. And,
Okay. I'm now going to turn it over to John to relay what Party Boy said. No, I'm sorry. It's only one experience point. No. We'll see what John can come up with.
Well, I don't know. I think a few bits of foreshadowing that need to go on. One of the reasons why we don't trust the Tremere is because we believe we spotted Joanna Richter. Because every time you say those names, you have to be angry. In the fetish club, the Doomstop or something like that, where we located Party Boy, and he had referred to a sort of figure, and they also referred to someone who he was kind of working for, or but he couldn't remember them, and this voice was sort of very important to him. So there's a bit of back and forth with him. He kind of spent most of the conversation trying to rile and insult us, which is fair enough. But we did get a fair amount out of him eventually, which was that this Richter seems to be the person who is manipulating him, who has possibly blood bonded him, who has possibly taught him the discipline of dominate, which he's attempted to use on Carl and successfully used on several other people. That being the case, it is our suspicion that Carl's sire, the illustrious Helga, is involved in some form of conspiracy with the Tremere. So when this was put to us at Masha as well, she has sort of partially lowered Carl's blood bonds to his sire, which was one of the driving forces of the character, leaving him quite despondent and angry as he begins to kind of realise a lot of the ways in which Helga's been making him behave. And he has come up with a plan. Haha, the evil little shit that he is. I suppose it would seem that it's not especially a ploy of the East Germans, as was suspected, or even maybe particularly to do with the Anarchs, especially with the Tremere being involved. But we suspect there is a third force at work, and the connection with the church would seem to imply that, and the vampire who we found hidden there a couple of sessions ago. I suppose it is now time to see, if we can, what the sheriff may have discovered there, if anything, and if we can begin to join up those dots. But at the same time, with Helga's involvement, it sort of steps things up a gear. So it could be time to gather our forces and begin hauling in suspects for jaggy, burny questions, which will probably be inserted into their undernails and such to try to torture them into submission.
Anything final from you, Eunice?
Well, we did flirt a lot with the idea of that if our worst fears are true, then the West, Camarilla, is basically rotten. If the Chancellor is a conspirator, and now Helga is a conspirator, and the Prince, who is kind of a, well, he's not as forceful, and he doesn't demand as much authority as he perhaps should, and there's a lot of elders and people like that who have very little respect for his authority. It seems like since Marcia told us that the wall is going down in 2 days, it's becoming a very like realistic standpoint to actually think about what we should do that's best for our clan and not what's best for West Berlin in terms of the Camarilla, you know. So I was flirting around with the idea of getting into contact with Salvatore Derage, the Ventru, who does like this diplomatic stuff, who comes to the west and goes back to the east and keeps basically communications and negotiations and all this sort of stuff alive between the two sides. It would be to get into contact with him so that he could get us into contact with Rosa Rothschild, who could get us into contact with Gustav Breidenstein, the Prince of East Berlin, so we could offer Party Boy to him as a token of our good meaning that we want to solve this problem and we want to that we're not looking to fuck him, that we're looking to work together to common goals, or rather, perhaps, you know, his goals, as long as they also serve us, you know, type of thing. So it could be very much considered, you know, kind of a defection and treachery to just go on our own initiative, like cross the fence and the wall and go make backroom deals with the enemy, you know. So.
But yeah, as you say, there aren't many nights left in which to do it.
Yeah.
So
I don't think we could get to Ernst Ehrmann, our side's prince, and get him to believe us that there's a conspiracy. You know, we might as well tell him, you know, we shot Kennedy or something like that. You know, it's like, whatever. You know, it's. I think it's a much more reliable avenue to explore, you know, and to take seriously, to actually approach East and not have both sides destroy each other. But if one side is gonna be on top, the East is now seeming like the better option, because even though they may be ruthless and brutal and like fascists and stuff, it's not littered with conspiracy and backstabbing politics and that sort of stuff.
Okay. All right then. Well, both of you get 2 experience points. Congratulations. Yeah, that's the first thing I've given out all game. It isn't. I mostly do it off camera. Don't believe what they may say. One thing to note, and it was mentioned that the Berlin Wall is due, supposedly, to come down in the next 2 days or nights. So media reports are saying, and in the previous game I announced this via Hasselhoff, and I received a message deriding that and our treatment of German culture in this game. Something we're all 3 of us are quite sensitive about, and we of course don't wish to mock anything specifically German, and I don't think we have. But the David Hasselhoff presence during the fall of the Berlin Wall was a thing. It was reality. He was there, and he was instrumental in the healing of relations between East and West. All you have to do is listen to his music back catalogue, and you'll understand that. So I just want to express my sincerity when I say that David Hasselhoff was probably responsible for the end of the Cold War. So we will now proceed with the game, and the following night, where let's start this time. Well, in fact, you're both in the same place. You're both still in the basement. basement floor apartment, resplendent with pillows and cushions and the like, with Masha and the torpid, staked again, party boy. So you wake, and all lose a blood point.
Yay!
And Carl goes into torpor. Could I ask how much blood you each have?
Three.
You have 3 units. Oh!
I'm hale and hearty. I've hardly used any blood at all.
And you did drink some from Masha.
Yeah. I don't know if that counts as a full point right now.
I think I gave you a point for it.
Alright, okay. Well, in that case, I have 11. Ooh.
Time to start giving some of that to Anna, I think.
Tasty, Carol.
Anna, you wake up slightly after Schweitz, feeling rough. You are feeling the need to feed, and you know that this is a particularly suburban area. It's not likely to just have streetwalkers and throngs in the road, but being on limited pool of 3 vitae does create hunger pangs in a vampire. You have sent your ghouls away, except for Bruno, who is still acting as watchman. So you still have him, but the others you sent to seek out safety until all of this blows over. And we just received notification. Carl Schweitz just spent his 17 experience. Carl, what did you spend your 17 experience points on?
Well, I tried to spend them on things that I've actually been using. So I have put one in alertness because I roll that all the time. I've put one in brawl because I got in a big fight. So that's up to 2. So I'm like an average fighter now. Haha, Ninja Carl. And I put one in the 2. I will put one in performance. That was hard because I've been lying my ass off and been all cookish and stuff. So,
fair enough.
Yeah.
And in answer to the comment that has been posted on our video, yes, we are all wearing our GIMP masks of spotting +5 in this session.
I'll hold you to that.
I've got that one behind me. But you both wake up at approximately the same time, for the sake of ease. Masha is likewise rounding herself as night falls. And she sits up, and the 2 of you do likewise, brushing off her party clothing that she had on from the night before, because she did come straight from the Italo. Her leathers from where she'd been riding a motorcycle just laid to the side. She actually starts pulling them on immediately, doing them up. I will be expected at the club.
How will you? I'm feeling a bit groggy still from not only having little blood left in me, but also the nerve-wracking stuff of what we are about to set on. Will you contact us somehow if you get in contact with Salvador?
Yes, he will undoubtedly be at Italo. He is due in West Berlin. Well, he was due in West Berlin for the next week, but that wasn't. But then we found out about the wall coming down. So, of course, if he is there, I will somehow send message to you here, unless you have some other place to be. I can assure you this place is safe. You're not going to get hunted down by whoever is behind all of this while you're here. But at the same time, I'm sure the 2 of you aren't going to wish to sit on your hands, especially with such important events taking place in the next couple of nights.
Yes, I myself am feeling a bit famished. I would wish for a chance to get a chance to just stretch my feet a little bit and meet people, but
I
instead
would
of just laying low.
area. This is an area I have designated privately as sanctified, as it were. If people start feeding around here, other kindred may notice that I have a discreet haven in this area. So if you are to feed on someone, make sure you travel at least a little distance. I know that you have tendency to feed from a herd, Anna, so it will probably be a nice change for you to go hunting.
Yes, it's not safe to go to my regular haven to get to my vessels or boys right now.
Well, Fights as a short order cook of a sort. Maybe he can whip you up something after if he goes for a walk. You think that's Marsha's excuse for humour, and she starts leaving. Uh, she gets her motorcycle, starts pushing it up the stairs, and turns around. I'm leaving Party Boy here with you. Again, you said before that you had permission to end his existence. If you think that it will be useful to keep him around, then do so. I will send word back whether Salvatore is at the Italo or not within the next few hours. He always arrives early in the evening.
Very good. And thank you, Marsha, for all you've done here.
Well, yes, thanks are possibly required. I will remind you, Helga is no fool. If she thinks that I know there is something amiss, and I have no doubt she will suspect that, then the target is not just on your heads. And she rolls the motives like that. Closes the door, posting the keys to the door through the letterbox as she goes.
I kind of heavily fall down to sit on a couch there or something, not next to a party boy if he's like on a couch or something like that. But somewhere like there, I'll just. Well, this is gonna be an exciting day for sure.
Karen looks like he isn't answering you. He's staring off into space with his kind of hand over his mouth, looking like he's a million miles away, thinking about something.
Carl. Carl.
Oh, sorry. Yes?
We're gonna be going to the if things work the way that we're planning, we might be going to the east this night. So, just are you functional?
Well, I'm fine. Yes. I'll come with you if you want.
It's it's kind of a desperate situation where it is. I'm starting to think there's like I can count with one hand the people we can trust, or rather the kindred we can trust right now. It's getting the list is getting very short. It's and I'm not trying to. I wouldn't want to try to pretend that I would know what way Ernst Ehrman would react to any of the news we could report to him, but I don't think conspiratorial hypotheses are ever really met with much all that much seriousness unless you've been a target, yourself. And it's
There's a banging on the door.
I'll use summon. I'll summon Bruno immediately. I'll like make the hush like gesture to Carl, and I'll summon.
I think that cost you a blood point.
So I hope you don't have to spend a blood point for that.
Oh God. Okay. Well, it was Bruno at the door, and he opens it. Anna, do a self-control roll, please. Bruno, all 6'7", weighing in at 290 pounds, stood rippling with muscle and pulsing with blood at the top of the stairs. There is your meal.
Oh, hold on, no, it's not a blood point for summon, it is a willpower point.
I think it is a blood point.
Am I reading the wrong system? Oh no, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
I got a 4, 8, and 7.
Foiled again.
4, 8, and 7. Okay, you got an 8. 8 was the difficulty. You succeed. You force down the need to suddenly spring up the stairs and tackle Bruno to the ground. But that doesn't quench your thirst at all. Your mouth is feeling very dry. He practically jogs down the stairs and looks around, and he's surprised that he walks in without invitation.
I'll just look at him with this kind of with this expression of just.
I wanted to check that you were all right. I saw the woman on the motorcycle leaving, and when I didn't see you, I worried that something might have happened. So I came down and to see what.
Decided to bang on the door like a SWAT team.
Carl interjects and looks over at Bruno and says, "Mutter is hungry. It's affecting her mood."
Mutter, if you do not feel it will weaken me, then you can feed from me, of course. He doesn't hesitate in pulling his cuff apart and rolling his sleeve up. You see the vein down his arm looking very ripe and blue.
Have you been in any contact with any of your brothers during the day?
I received Klaus drove by just to check on how things were going. He just stopped by to check on you. He explained that everyone had gone their separate ways, that they were looking after Friedrich and Fritz, but they are all safe, Mutter.
All right. I'll tap the couch. Come here.
He sits down obediently.
I'll kind of like. What kind of hair does he have?
He has bleached blonde hair.
Okay. I'll like run my fingers through his temple, like through his hair, and I'll like take his hand, like if he has like big Papa Pump size hands, I'll like take his hands and I'll like first like I'll like grab them and I'll like lay my face in his hand, and I'll just look very tired, like I'm aching to get to sleep type of thing, and I'll just be like, I'm glad that everything's going fine.
Mutter, you look so hungry. You should just feed from me, please. Do another self-control roll. If you're going to try and resist, you're going to have to do it.
Yeah, I don't want to go. I don't want to flip out or anything like that.
Difficulty still 8.
875. So once.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll just still be like leaning on his hand there, and I'll be like, I am getting tired, aren't I?
He practically jams his wrist into your mouth.
Oh, okay. Well, shit.
He's concerned. He's seeing you now like almost like a child that won't take their medicine. And so he doesn't say, "Here comes the aeroplane," but he does, "Please!" And in goes his wrist.
I'll like a little bit like open my eyes wide when he does that. I'll be like, whoop, and suckle on it. I'll always so pragmatic. And I'll drink 2 blood points from him.
Do a self-control roll. See whether you can stop. Yeah, self-control.
753.
All right. As soon as you'd taken the 1, difficulty had reduced. You're okay. You are okay, but you're still feeling hungry. You're just able to resist.
Okay. Well, basically now I have 4 blood points, so I can manage. But I will like pull his hand off of me, and I'll like squeeze his wrist really tight. Like I'll forcibly pull it off, and I'll be really like putting effort into not letting myself go too far. I'll really be like.
Bruno is probably the only ghoul in your service, and probably the only vessel you've ever met who, after being fed from, can stand straight up and just carry on with his business. It's almost.
That's what I was concerned of. If he's gonna be our only bodyguard and protector and helper, and he's gonna be, half conscious because of me feeding on him. But if he can keep himself, on top of the situation, then it's fine. Sure.
Well, he stands up and he says, "Would you like for me to get you another? Would you like for me to find you someone, Mutter? Or is it dangerous to bring someone to this location?"
We might be getting the call any minute. I don't know. It's you haven't been privy to the conversations we've been having, so I don't expect you to understand, but there's serious moving and wheeling and dealing going on tonight that might very well have very strong ramifications and consequences.
I heard on the radio, Mutter, the wall. They do not expect it to last longer than a week.
That's precisely the thing. It's too risky to bring someone we don't know here, and if you were to go and get any of my housekeeping staff here, they would just be another extra person to take care of and to drag around. Plus, during that time that you would be out getting them, we would be defenseless here without you.
Of course, Mutter. It was foolish of me to suggest anything.
Just don't, please.
Schweitz, is there anything you need that I can do for you whilst remaining in close proximity.
Carl just shakes his head at him.
And what about that? And he gestures at the incapacitated party boy.
Party boy is extremely valuable to us now because he's pretty much our he's our key to the kingdom at this point. He is our the way we can get an audience with Gustav Breidenstein at this point. At least from what I can figure out, it's if we would just kill him, it would just be him having to believe us, and I don't really like those odds. If we were to kill him, I wouldn't go to the east. I would just bail. I would get my sire, and I would. No, forget I said that.
I will go out again and watch the streets move. But if you get hungry, there is a light in here. I'll just turn it off and on again, and I will see the signal, and I will come running. I do not mind if you render me unconscious, if you have to. I cannot allow you to suffer. You understand, Muta?
Yes.
He turns on his heel and jogs back up the steps.
Okay. As soon as he's gone, I'll just lean forward and like lay my hand in my head in my hands. I'll just be. We're so dead.
Carl doesn't respond to that at all. He just looks at you.
What do you think? Well, you're still kind of new to this town, but still, it's Gustav Breidenstein's his reputation supersedes him. We're really going to the lion's den here. We're really going to risk it all with this. But if we stay, if we don't do anything, we're just as well. We'll be having to look behind our shoulders for the rest of, I don't know how, well, 2 days until the wall comes down. But if it comes down, I would like to be somewhere where even if somebody is a complete sadistic maniac, he's still someone you can trust to be a sadistic maniac and not having to second guess everything they do. Where they will turn on you, or some other shadowy entity will come and, oh, it was us all along. There's just too many, like the amount of variables we have to deal with if we were to stay here. It's so fucked. This whole situation is so fucked. Berlin is so fucked.
None of these people can be trusted. It doesn't matter where we are. None of these people can be trusted. When you can make someone love you, you don't have to think anymore about earning trust or kindness or anything. You just take what you want. Carl stands up and walks towards the door. Sort of looks out there's a window in the door, isn't there?
Yeah, just a small one.
Yeah, sort of looks out of it at the night.
I had one of my boys go against my will just the other night. I was just thinking what you said, and the first thing that came to my mind is that, oh well, wholeheartedly trust my boys at least, but just like you said, even though they still go against me. They still rebel. They still get jealous and act on it. And they might think they're doing the right thing, but just as Helga might be thinking that the only way to survive the wall going down is the path that she's chosen. And she might think that there's no way she could explain it to us and have us believe it. Maybe she would have to have us come in, and she could shut the door behind us and make us see. Or I don't know. I'm just. This is all pretty much just completely speaking, thinking out loud. It's. I'm just. What I'm looking for is the least destructive path for us. There is no good path. There is no right way or a good way to handle this. There is only the least bad at this point, at least in my estimation. If one of the honestly, if one of the princes is to fall and the other one is to stay, I used to think it was a clear choice, but at this point, when push comes to shove, I can't be sure which one of these two bad choices would be the less bad one. The sadistic and brutal dictator, or the pussy who gets pulled around by conspirators and people looking for their own ends and
How do we know that that's the case?
yeah,
If the Chancellor's involved, she could be acting on the Prince's orders.
That's true. But then again, why would they want to use someone like Party Boy, who says that the forces he's working for seek to see both sides destroy one another? This waiting. We haven't been here for longer than 10 or 15 minutes, and it feels like we've been here for an eternity already.
It's been 45 in game time, but carry on.
But yeah, it's the kind of. I'm getting really. Anna's getting really anxious with this stuff, constantly like not staying still and being restless.
Carl, on the other hand, is remarkably calm and incredibly quiet and very, very still. Not at all like his usual self.
I wish I could just go to. In these kind of situations, I usually like to turn to my sire, but he's in hiding as well because of this whole Party Boy thing.
Carl suddenly turns, looks straight at you, and asks very bluntly, "Did your sire ever make you drink his blood?"
Well, of course.
No, I mean after that.
It's maybe once. I can't be sure. I can't remember. It's been a long time. There's a lot of things about certain times in my past that I almost that are almost a blur to me. I can't honestly even answer that question. Really.
Helga's been making me drink her blood for a long time now. Very regularly when we were together. She would feed me her blood and tell me, "Go, Carl, add that to this dish, add that to that drink, add that to this thing you're doing," or just sometimes just have some. You know, it was the sweetest thing I'd ever tasted in my life. And to someone who cooks for a living, that is saying something. Admittedly, I might just be flipping burgers at the moment, but you know, I trained in Paris. I know good food when I taste it, and nothing tasted as good as that. Nothing ever tasted as good as that did. Ever. And she kept giving me more and more, and every time she did, I thought, what a lovely reward, what a brilliant thing for her to do, what a wonderful boy I must be to have earned this. But that's not what it was about, was it? No. She wanted to make me love her. Why? So that I would run about like a stupid little lapdog for everyone's amusement to laugh at in their Elysiums and their little soirees. You know, it only just struck me last night. Everything that my brother, or well, step-brother I suppose, said, all those little phrases he came out with, all those little jabs he made at me that I didn't even register. And now, blood bonded out the arse, he said.
It's a vicious thing.
There's a knock on the door, lighter this time.
Carol's at the door, so he just turns round.
You look straight out the window.
Why not?
It's Bruno again.
Carol sort of just opens the door and lets him in.
He pokes his head around briefly and then walks in, closes the door gently behind him. There is a car circling the street. It keeps coming round. I've noticed it. I cannot say for certainty that they are looking for you, the people in the car. There is a driver and a passenger.
Do you recognise them?
No.
What sort of car?
Just a Volkswagen. Nothing fancy. Blends in. You know?
Is there another way out of here other than that door?
Let's see. I'm going to roll in the dice stream app that won't actually show up on the screen. Actually, no. You know what? Carl, as you asked, I'd like you to roll your humanity, our luck stat.
Humanity?
Yeah.
Okay.
To be that lucky in this basement apartment, you're going to need a 6 or above. That is the back door.
There, I've got 1 7.
There is a back door.
Carol will probably turn around then and say that we might want to keep an eye on the back door. We need to make a sharp exit.
Yes. So, Bruno, that it's just one of those reasons why I didn't want to drink any more than I absolutely needed. I need you to stay sharp. I need you to stay sharp, and I need you to keep an eye on that car. I need you to pick up details on it, and
Speaking of things that are sharp, Carol's going to go over to the bit of wood that they pulled out of Party Boy's chest, and he's going to pocket it.
I assumed that you had replaced it, that you'd put it back in.
Oh, right, okay. No,
In
that's
order to keep him paralysed.
in that case, I'll leave it exactly where it is.
Bologna, pay attention if they're blasting music inside the car, if they look like they're teenagers or something like that. Sometimes they just get on for a night ride just around the block circle.
No. This is a family car. They are adults. There's a man and a woman. Early 30s, I would say. Very nondescript. They could be undercover police, which would make sense. I understand the undercover police. I get assigned Volkswagens, but I will keep an eye and see what they are looking for. I am keeping a low profile myself, so they do not stop and ask why I've been sat at the same bus stop for the last few hours.
Someone did wake up last night when we and Rosa, no, not Rosa, but Marsha arrived here. Someone did wake up. I think I saw a house get a light on, so it could be that somebody called.
Where is Heinrich's place?
Heinrich?
Yeah, the Anna's son.
Yes. Heinrich has his place in Steglitz, to the south. It's quite some distance away from where you are. It's all the way on the other side of the city.
Maybe we should reunite Party Boy with his dad. See if he remembers him.
This son is kin to your Mutter?
Just
I will go back onto the road and keep an eye. I will not interfere in these matters. He leaves, seemingly a bit disturbed.
Well, I can imagine, but yeah, I don't really know what's going on and how safe the trip there would be. I'm just I'm running out of ideas. All I can do is sit here and wait. That's all I can come up with.
All we would have to do is make it there. Unless he's involved.
Yeah, well, how would Marsha contact us if we're not here anymore?
Well, how will she contact us if this place explodes with us inside it?
I'm just gonna sit here and wait for things to blow over. That's what I hope I could do through this entire ordeal.
When you say blow over, given he's implied that the place might explode, Carol sort of frowns at you. He makes his way into the kitchen. If there is a kitchen in here.
Yeah, that's a very small kitchen. It's not so similar to where you live, except it's slightly larger.
Yeah, but maybe they don't have a set of Jinsu knives. Carl goes in search of a good sharp knife, but he's also going to look for something to cook to occupy himself.
Unfortunately, this is a vacant. This place is literally just used by Marsha. So while there's cutlery and the like, to at least give the pretense of being lived in. There's no food in cupboards. There's nothing in the fridge. It's more like a show flat that's had a bunch of scatter cushions and futons laid out in the living area.
Is there a good sharp knife?
Roll your humanity, please.
Oh, here we go again. Oh, we're back on fire here, folks.
Yeah.
Samurai sword.
Yeah. You find the cooking katana. There is the carving knife.
Okay. Well, Carol will sort of take that and.
There's even a meat cleaver.
Oh, even better. Yeah, Carl is going to hold on to some of the utensils in case he needs to dice up anything here.
Is there a phone in the basement?
Unfortunately, no, there's no phone connected.
So when we're waiting for someone to call us, that's a good thing. Oh.
Yeah, how is Marshall supposed to contact us?
Someone's call by. She didn't say someone would call the flat.
Did she have to say they were driving a Volkswagen?
Yeah, where are these jokers? It's another half an hour of pensive silence before Bruno gives his familiar knock on the door.
I'll get up in this kind of the demeanor that I'm having at this point is pretty much like I'm like getting filled with kind of anxiety type of thing. I'm feeling I'm in a situation where I can't control it at all, and I'm feeling kind of especially after Marshall left, and as I don't have my boys available to me, except of course for Bruno, I feel very vulnerable, and I feel very powerless at the situation, and therefore I'm frustrated and kind of confused and anxious. So I'm like, and tired and weak from not having that much blood. So I'll walk to the door and go open it.
There's a Bruno stood there. There's also a man stood next to him. Could be his brother. He has a small beard. Do an intelligence. No, do a wit plus politics, please.
Is he a dog-faced gremlin?
He is dog-faced. But is he a gremlin?
I do have politics. Whee.
It's Rick Rechtenstein.
It's David Hasselhoff. What's he doing here?
66136. So 2 successes.
I have been Carl Schweitz with 3 successes.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, I will allow you both to succeed. I was not thinking Carl. I was thinking Carl probably wouldn't recognise this person, but with those successes you both do from the party at Dieter's, you recognise this fellow as one of Rosa's retainers. Well, in fact, her only retainer, who was stood out waiting with the other ghouls outside, sharing cigarettes and the like. A well-built man who could well be Bruno's brother.
Tag team partner.
Yeah, I'll tag team partner. And the relationship that Rosa has with her ghoul, as far as you know it, isn't that dissimilar to what Anna has with her own child, except it's more on the sexual side.
I'll when I see him and recognize him, I'll like look at him and be like, oh. Did Rosa or Marcia send you here?
Masha sent me here because the kindred of West Berlin do not know me like they know Masha's retainers.
I'll tap him on the shoulder a little bit. I'm like, well, I'm glad to see you, so we can get off this lot. But did you by chance
Bruno looks up.
hear-
Do we trust him, Muta? Do you wish to get in a car with him?
Please, please, Bruno, please. At this point, it's
I don't get in a car with anyone right now.
at this point I'm expecting anyone to come through the door, and I have reservations about trusting them as well. So let's just throw the dice and trust him for now.
He turns around and heads back up alongside Rosa's retainer, who I think, for the sake of brevity, we are going to call. Ooh, what shall we call him? Jerry.
Yeah.
It's Seinfeld. Slap bass hunting.
He likes puppies.
He was actually named after one of Rick Steiner's trainers, Dr. Jerry Graham Jr.
It's Jerry Springer.
Because I didn't want to call him Rick.
Well,
So, yeah.
when we get to the car, I want to seat myself so that I'm sitting next to Bruno, but so that Bruno is sitting right behind the driver, so that if the situation would deteriorate,
Slap the
yeah,
master
you just-
lock on. The driver has to take the master lock challenge from Bruno.
It's the Steiner recliner. It looks like Jerry is driving a Ford, actually.
This guy's American.
Not the one driving the Volkswagen.
You're in West Berlin, so you can get American cars. It's just they're not terribly common.
He's not from West Berlin.
No.
The bastard. That car is stolen!
Yeah, taking our cars. Next time we take
That's where we draw our moral line. Don't commit Grand Theft Auto.
say no to East Berlin immigration.
Car theft, I will drink your soul!
As you start climbing into the car, just to describe exactly where you are, Anna, you will be sat in the back then with Bruno to your side, which means Carl, you'll be sat in the front next to Jerry. As you're climbing into the car, headlights illuminate you from behind. Like a spotlight. It would appear that that Volkswagen is just down the road from you. And has spotted you climbing into the car.
Drive!
Yeah. Okay. If you're issuing that command, Carl, I'm going to roll a drive and dexterity roll for Jerry Repsteiner.
Is this my find out he's a terrible driver?
Unfortunately, I've got 0 in drive and 1 in dexterity. No, I've got no thumbs.
You're in a tree, roll again.
I'll just read out what Dice Stream's results was there. It is 8, 5. So starting well with an 8, 5, 2, 8, 1, 1.
Ah, let me drive, you wee shit. I've got this.
Car stalls as he pulls out the choke, and the Volkswagen bears up on you. As it gets to your rear, the man gets out the front. You can see that he actually has a gun in his hand. Yes,
One,
Eunice.
one little thing that we forgot to mention as we were quick to get into the car and move on from there. Party Boy is most likely in the trunk. We didn't leave him behind, did we?
As you didn't mention him, Eunice, roll your humanity.
Yeah, you gotta be fucking kidding me. You're gonna.
Back there again. Oh.
Son of a bitch. We're so wrapped up in our own little, oh, my sire, this and that. And
I'd say that's actually a possibility. Eunice, Anna was very keen on getting out, and Carl is more just with collecting knives.
That's 5, 3, 8, 4, 5, 8, so 2.
Yes, you remembered Party Boy. You already dumped him in the trunk of the Ford.
Alright.
Mein Gott.
Yeah, so the man from the Volkswagen has got out. He actually has an automatic pistol in his hand.
Do I recognise him?
Do a wits and politics, please.
Oh! Why did I get all my good rolls in this game? What's going on?
What are you talking about? You always roll unimaginably good rolls.
I am actually famous in VTM YTE for my terrible rolls. This is a true story. That's why they have such a thing as Scottish dice rolling.
You do recognize this fellow. He was one of the staff at Helga's.
Aha. I'll sort of blurt out, it's one of Helga's men.
Rick Steiner is currently trying to work the choke.
Schnell!
The choke of the car, that is.
He's been guillotined by Bruno for failing to get the car started.
This is serious business.
Oh.
Okay, I will roll another drive roll to see whether he can lurch the car away before this guy starts taking shots.
Well, while he's doing that, Carol's going to like remodify himself into a blender by taking out the jaggy things that he collected in the house and getting ready to burst down the door at this lad.
What blades do you keep putting in hand, Carl?
I'm going to have just a sharp knife in my left and the meat cleaver in my right.
Okay, Anna, are you staying in the car?
Well, Carl did mention it's one of Helga's, so I might stick my head out the window and do a dread gaze at them.
Just
Not again.
You there!
You!
We don't want you washing our windscreen. Okay, well, the car starts to slowly roll away. He got one success, so yes, he manages to start the car, he turns the ignition, it bursts into life. What this means is, Anna, you have the chance to lock eyes with this guy just as he's raising the gun up to your window, pointing it right in your face. So, charisma plus intimidation, please.
Oh. Dice.
Difficulty equal to his wits plus courage, so your difficulty is going to be a 5 in this case.
How much?
A 5.
Oh, okay.
Doesn't sound good.
1, 4, 10, 1, 10, 9. So actually, that's not that bad.
That's one success.
No, that's 3 success. No, that's
The one will count out the 10s.
2.
But... Oh, okay. Oh, well, in that
Since
case...
the 10s count as 2.
Yeah, in that case, he suddenly drops the gun and backs off slowly, very quickly with his hands up as the car starts rolling forward. Carl, are you leaping out of the car with your knives in hand, or are you letting yourself be carried away by the car?
No, I'll just get going with the car.
Okay, the Volkswagen starts following. It leaves its male passenger behind, the woman behind the wheel, remaining behind the wheel, and it is now a chase. So,
Read some chase music. Unless it's a southern chase, we need some banjos.
Jerry actually gets a exceptional success and literally outweaves and outraces the Volkswagen. It's a Volkswagen with his Ford by cutting some tight corners, going through 2 sets of red lights and speeding into the heart of Berlin before the pursuer can even think to keep up.
Oh, nice.
America, fuck yeah!
That's right, the Model T Ford is one hell of a car. He doesn't say a word, Jerry. Bruno is desperately, well, he's just kind of grooming, patting Anna, trying to keep her calm and generally trying to look after her.
Yeah, it's like right from the start when we got to the car, I was like sitting next to him and kind of leaning my head on his shoulder kind of thing because of this kind of emotional exhaustion type of stuff with everything that's been going on. And with this kind of feeling of powerlessness in the situation, I like, even though I view Bruno as someone who's more of someone who needs to lean on me for like a more like this kind of parental authority and guidance type of thing. The switch kind of flips a little bit, and I'll be leaning on him for that sort of thing, that sort of comforting feeling, because I'm dying for somebody who's more experienced and more intelligent in these matters to come up and tell me what I should do, type of thing, you know. Because I'm well versed. I can manage myself in like these everyday situations where I have to like bullshit people and talk shop with other vampires about superficial nonsense and you know, perhaps charm somebody here and there. But in these dangerous situations, I'm not well versed with them, and I usually have had my sire by my side to whom I could lean on to in this sort of a way, the way my ghouls lean on me for that sort of authority and guidance. I'm in this situation completely like completely like just begging for that sort of thing for myself. So I'm kind of yeah, the anxiety is making a dent.
Well, Bruno has his arm wrapped tightly around you, and he's quite prepared to sort of let you sort of nestle your head against his chest as he's holding you tightly. Again, he's being very protective. It's what you need at this time. Usually this is the kind of thing Werner does for you, but of course Werner's not around right now. So, but Bruno is surprisingly good at the parental coddling that you need at this point.
Carol, with the demeanour of a heavily armed Sith Lord, congratulates Jerry on his excellent driving, but he does look quite broody and, I don't know, different. There seems to have been a change in young Carol.
Jerry, hunched over the wheel as he is, doesn't even look over at Carl and says, "It's no problem."
Good thing there's a spacious car.
It is, there is our destination. He pulls up. You are actually outside the Club Italo, so you're far from any kind of discreet location. You're outside one of the major elysiums of the city.
Well, it seems good, because we should technically be safe inside it. People
What are
don't
you
do Elysium
doing,
like
Jerry?
Hmm?
What are you doing, Jerry?
This is where Masha asked that I bring you. That was my order, to bring you here. By Masha. No deception.
I take it we don't think he's lying.
You can do an empathy and perception.
Am I any good at
Can I do one as well?
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh, okay, yeah. Ooh. I can see into your soul.
Oh, no, 5 successes because one of them is 10. 10, 8, 7, 9.
You win this round.
Yeah, one of the better rolls I've had in the entire game.
You look at him through. You look at his reflection in the rearview mirror. The way he's expressing right now, there doesn't appear to be a flicker of subterfuge across his eyes. You don't think he's dominated or anything like that, but you get the impression this is a very straightforward thinking retainer. He could not be used for telling lies. He's not that kind of creature.
Yeah,
Carl wasn't going to wait for confirmation. He wants to get to the bottom of this. He opens the door and gets out and says, we should probably take the package round the back.
Bruno looks at Anna.
Oh, he was talking to me. After he seeing that he doesn't seem like he's lying. It's not even that I would think that he is lying. It's that people who have given him his orders are lying. He might be as sincere as possible, but he doesn't know which ends he really serves. But once Carl mentions that, it's like it's either that or leave it in this trunk. It's
Bruno.
I don't think a impaled vampire is very kosher to bring to the Elysium.
Yeah, just drive the car around the back in case we need to get him in there. We don't know who else is inside.
Let's just have Bruno, you stay and guard wherever we leave the body. If we leave it in the... Excuse me, Jerry, are you in need of this automobile right at this moment?
It is a hire car. Yeah, I have it for the rest of the night. I return it tomorrow.
Good. Do you have anything against Bruno taking care of the car for a little bit?
Those are not my orders. Neither are they my orders to transport what you have secreted in the trunk. With all due respect, Frau Van Hagen, I was merely ordered to bring you here.
Well, then you were just not given sufficient descriptions of the situation. There's no other way of doing that.
By my meaning,
Well, thank you very much for your services, dear Jerry, thus far.
Maybe we can change his orders if we go in and speak to Rosa.
by my meaning, Frau Van Hagen, and I mean you no disrespect. If you wish to take the body from the trunk, that is fine, but I will not carry it for you.
No. What I'm meaning is that the trunk is a good place to keep him, but seeing as we've just met, I trust my boy Bruno here more. So I was merely asking if it's all right to leave the car in under his security and surveillance while we're inside meeting the people we're here to meet, so that we don't have to drag this.
I do not know this, Bruno. He gestures back at Bruno. But if he wishes to stay in the car, I will stay with him.
Fine. As long. Let's just. I need to get it. I need to get out. I need to get out of this fucking car. And I'll go to the door and I'll go step out. I'll if there's like a trash can or a can or anything in the ground, I'll like kick it out of frustration. I'll just be like, God fucking damn it! And just.
Okay, find a can, you kick it down the road. Italo is very subdued tonight. It doesn't have the usual sort of fake fire stuff that goes on outside of nightclubs. You know, the paper flames with the coloured lights underneath them. Usually it has that, and the stained glass windows are illuminated by disco colours. But tonight it's just dim lights from inside. The doormen are still on the door, however, so clearly it is open. There's no queue to get in, but it is midweek.
Yeah, Carl's just going to go in. Unless anyone stops him.
I'll kind of look at Carl since we're both still wearing our fetish gear underneath our coats.
Oh yeah.
I'll just look at Carl without saying a word. I'll just have this "please just shoot me" kind of expression on my face, and I'll just turn around and reluctantly I'll just walk straight at the door.
One of the doormen looks the both of you up and down and gestures with his head that you can go in.
Yeah, Carl doesn't look like he was going to stop anyway, he just walks in.
No, probably not.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll go to get into the Italo straight up.
Okay. The interior of the club this evening is far subdued when compared to the last time you were here, where there was pounding disco music, there was food laid out on tables for the entertainment of the Toreador and other kindred of the city, where Karl Schweitz was making his introduction. And that went as well as, well, could be expected, I suppose. On this evening, it's a light classical music that hums throughout the club. And the club itself is largely empty. There are a few kine dotted around. It appears they're all very well dressed for a club like Italo, which is a gallery on one floor, a brothel on the ground floor, and a dancing area on the main. So maybe they're just waiting to be admitted to the gallery up above, where some of the historic Toreador of this city used to display their wares. They're no longer here. You do recognize among the kindred present, Masha is there, which if you could exhale in relief, you would probably do so. She is addressing the barman with some anger. You recognize also Salvatore Direge, who is speaking with the young, mutilated Ursula Heiberg, one of your fellow Toreador. He is laughing and batting away a comment of hers in the way most of the kindred of this city do. After all, they do just see her as a child. Most alarming is that Helga is there, and as soon as you come through the doors, she spreads her arms wide and walks towards you and announces both of your presences. Anna, Karl, my booby, Karl. And
it's.
Oh, all right. Do a self-control roll, please, Eunice.
Yes. Oh my
I think
God.
John's just gone away from the keyboard, so we may have to replay that.
Oh. 877. So.
Yeah, you're good. You maintain composure.
I was almost hoping I wouldn't. It's, at this point, it's like.
In terms of the other kindred that you were not looking for and are not Clan Toreador, There are a couple more here. One of them is at the bar with Masha. You know that this woman is kindred due to the pallor of her skin, and the way she's dressed is just slightly out of fashion. You can sometimes pick up on it, but you don't recognize who this person is. You also see there Jen Schwangau, the Gangrel Primogen, who is lingering about with some of the besuited kine.
Okay.
Now, if you'd like, we can wait for John to come back. No, actually, sod it. He went away. He's going to miss the big scene.
Oh, that's brutal.
All right, well, we can wait. Oh, no, he's now disconnected and no longer in the Hangout.
Yeah, so he'll most likely, if he had to reboot his computer or something, that'll just take a minute.
Hmm.
I had that happen when I used to play with Zig Kopacetic. He at one point had that sort of a problem where almost every session at some point the connection would like kick him out and he would have to reboot his computer and then come back on. So it was always, if that's what's going on, then we'll just have to wait.
Well, how about that Royal Rumble 2015? I don't know.
Watch it. Last Royal Rumble I watched was in 2006, perhaps. It's
Benoit.
I'm really not up to speed. It's really when I stopped watching it I think it was about 2006. I never really. Every once in a while I would watch one show and I would just pull the hair out of my head thinking, why? And I never started to watch it again. And it's very much like if I watch people who make video blogs and stuff about episodes of Raw or SmackDown or the pay-per-views. It's nothing but everything is just horrible, and I'm thinking like, do the people who hate this watch it because they enjoy hating it or something?
I will say that in recent months, while the general quality of WWE has gone down in a lot of respects, far too many sort of wrestlers with power moves now and no personalities. At least for my tastes, there are a few wrestlers, no, I'd say about 5 or 6, that they are starting to treat well, that I'm hoping that within the next year they will actually start to treat as top carders, because the crowd certainly seems to be behind them when compared to the Cena and Orton sleepathons that constantly.
But then again, if they try to bring somebody up, they might make a storyline where they're friends with John Cena, which means that they, for some reason, are cursed and their careers are heading for a downward spiral after that. Or Triple H will come from retirement only to beat them on some main event show and then disappear again, like he did with CM Punk and Daniel Bryan. Every single up-and-comer that the crowd loves is like, oh, the crowd loves them, I best come out and beat them then to soothe my own ego. Fuck face. When I watch it, I just think too much about what must be going on behind the scenes type of thing, and I don't like that. It's like if I watch some Japanese stuff where they treat the events almost like a legit sporting event, and they put a lot of effort into, it's not just that it's the Japanese hard stuff. Hey, John's back.
Hey!
Let's quit the bullshit.
All right, when we do a wrestling role-playing game, we'll carry on with this firsthand. I've yet to run or play one, but I'm sure it can be done.
Yeah.
What you gonna do, Anna Van Hagen? So what just happened is the kindred. Oh, I think John's there. John appears to be frozen in place and muted. John, Prove to us that you're anything other than a still image.
You're dead man, John.
Dead man, John. Gonna shoot you between the balls, John.
You're getting old, John. You're getting old. That's the magic trick, you know.
Dreamt about this day, John.
If John was here, he'd laugh too.
Beer-swilling, fat-gutted mercenary with chainmail vest.
Freddie Mercury.
Oh, shit.
By the way, when I had that on VHS as a kid, it was a cut version that was cut horribly. Like, you know, I'm sure you've seen versions where the shed scene is, for example, cut, where you don't see him cut the guy's arm off and say, you know, shut up or whatever, and smack him with his severed arm. And I had the version where that was cut, but also what was cut was the end scene. There was no electrocution with Bennett. There was none of the him getting, you know, to the fence and being like screaming and getting electrified. It was just while Arnold did the bullshit and the big combo. All of a sudden, in the middle of the combo, it's just in the balls. and then there's the and then there was like the Arnold throwing the pipe, and right as the pipe hit the chest, you didn't even see it sink. There was no. It was just in the middle. It touched. It was already let off some steam, Bennett. So it was like bullshit. Be the balls. Let off some steam, Bennett. It was really weird, but as a kid, you just never questioned it. It was like, well, that's the way it is. It's this auteur's eccentric style.
Well, you know, the best Schwarzenegger film is very subtle. You see, you have to fill in the gaps with your mind.
Yeah.
He doesn't like to put it all up front in the shop window.
Well, you can always imagine the end climax knife fight to be some sort of a social satire or some sort of a commentary about, you know, gay rights.
Repressed homosexuality.
Hmm?
It's about repressed homosexuality.
Yeah, that it is.
With
the eye and see what's going on there when you turn it. John.
The important thing is that we know that Vernon Wells' character was Bennett was actually kicked out of the service for some reason, which at the time, before Don't Ask, Don't Tell, it could have been because he made amorous moves on Arnold. Now, he has a preponderance for referring to Arnold's character as John. Gotta get you, John. Gotta shoot you between the balls, John, and so on. But John Matrix, which is a fantastic surname, of course, won't refer to Bennett as anything other than Bennett, which I doubt is his first name. You know, John still follows this chain of command thing. He's very military. He's very rank and file. Bennett to him is nothing more than Bennett. And where every other character calls John Matrix, Bennett is the only one who calls him John. So that implies a level of familiarity, like an intimacy there. And of course he wears the leather chaps, a chainmail vest, and has a handlebar mustache, and is obsessed with doing things like, I'm going to stick this in you and twist it, I'm going to impale you, I'm going to shoot you between the balls. I don't think it's terribly subtle, but it does make the movie better to watch it, knowing that there's a repressed lust going on there on the part of Bennett. In fact, I think it makes the character more tragic.
Oh yeah, for sure. And he became a Power Rangers villain later on.
As all repressed homosexuals in Hollywood do. By the Hooded Claw. I'll get you, Penelope Pitstop.
Yeah, really, I don't know him to be Vernon Wells. Besides Commando, he was in Mad Max 2.
Yeah. Mm.
And beyond that, I just remember Power Rangers, and that was like some uh, really, late iteration of Power Rangers where there's like it has nothing to do with the stuff I watched as a kid, you know. But still, it's like if you could have like a Vernon Wells action figure, it's like yay. I don't know.
I don't know whether Animal of the Road Warriors / Legion of Doom was based on Vernon Wells in terms of his appearance.
Well, he did have the mohawk.
Yeah, and the mustache. And the Road Warriors.
Vernon Wells didn't have a mustache in Road Warrior 2, but he had one in Commando. So maybe combination of two worlds. So it wasn't just admiration of the movie Road Warriors. It was purely like admiration and of Vernon Wells himself.
LOD was a Vernon Wells tribute act.
Yeah.
Although I'd say he was more of a Heidenreich than a hawk or animal.
John keeps popping up and popping off.
Yeah. He must not like our conversation.
Yeah.
Well, we've got more viewers now that we're talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger movies in the WWE than we had when we were playing Vampire.
Yeah.
So clearly we need a beer and bullshit video.
Yeah. I've been getting a lot of movies and a lot of stuff lately, and today I got I found it on sale. I grabbed the South Park Stick of Truth game, and I played basically the tutorial stage of that, and it's it's awesome. but yeah, it's I have to say, like, I got the Assassin's Creed Heritage collection before that, and I've been playing Assassin's Creed 1, and I'm aching for anything else to play just so I could have a reason to like shelf that for a while and then maybe return it to it at some point. I mainly got it because everybody was saying like, oh, it's like the Assassin's Creed 2 is like the greatest thing ever, but at the same time, a lot of people were saying that the first one isn't nearly as good. So I guess it's kind of like, say, like Mass Effect, where the first one has a good story, sure, but it has a lot of gameplay mechanics where the second one is clearly like superior.
Oh, definitely.
And the second one is Mass Effect 2 is pretty much, if I would have to name one video game that would be in the status of my favorite video game of all time, you know, I think Mass Effect 2 would probably be that. So yeah, I was excited about the Assassin's Creed Heritage collection thing, but I don't know. When I started to play it, it was like I didn't even want to move on with the plot. I just wanted to save every citizen from bullying thugs, and I wanted to check every side thing, you know, through. And I don't know.
I found the second Assassin's Creed very good. The other ones just didn't grab me as much. I think the scenery is probably the strongest thing because I find the gameplay very repetitive of Assassin's Creed, but I do like the detail they go to in illustrating their cities. It's very good for games like Vampire, Dark Ages, when you're roaming around places like Constantinople or French Revolutionary Paris or whatever.
Yeah, if you absolutely have to play that game. Yeah, I haven't played Assassin's Creed Unity, but there's not a single. There's only one thing I've heard that's positive about it, and that's what the city looks like.
Yeah. Well, I'm understanding John is having difficulties with his PC. It's not just the internet. So with that,
well, he did move house today, so it's
Yeah. So that's to be forgiven. Most of the time, when you move house, something breaks. It's just unfortunate when it's your PC.
Yeah. You don't mind, do you, if I give a little plug here at the same time?
No, I intended to at the very beginning of this. So you go ahead, Eunice. We've now got more viewers than we had a minute ago. So clearly,
I will take full advantage of the amount of viewers that we have and say that go to my YouTube channel of Hammered Shitsteak and check out the Werewolf the Dark Ages campaign that I started to run a little while ago. There's already 3 videos up about one of the players' prelude, about him having his character's first change and all that stuff. So if you want to see me run a werewolf game, go check it out. Hammered Shitsteak on YouTube.
Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe.
Yeah. Comment and subscribe. Yeah.
No, we've been warned about imitating German accent. Although that may have been your native Finnish.
Yeah, that was a Finnish accent.
Yeah. No one would know. Let's just see what. John is giving it one more try. Come on, John. Give it one more try. All right. So yeah, I'm not playing in this werewolf game, but I've watched the first 2 videos. I was very entertained. So do have a look at Eunice's channel. It's Hammered Shitsteak. He is running Werewolf the Dark Ages. It is a Scandinavian Dark Ages game. So expect lots of beards.
Yeah, that's like your one stereotype of
well, not all
Scandinavia,
helmets, because of course that's a fallacy. But they did have beards.
Well, if it's...
Oh, hang on, no, there's John. Oh, well, there was John. I saw John's face. Saw your face, John. Black square now, John. Where are you hiding, John?
Is this or is this not working?
Oh no, I can hear you, John. But I can't see you. It's
Can you see now?
I can hear you in a sort of. Oh, hello. There's a still John. John, try moving around. No, it's all black again. Hey, no,
every 5 seconds. Oh, I don't know.
Well, good news is actually both of you.
John, try and deliver a full sentence if you can. I mean that, personally, I've never witnessed it myself, but try and deliver a full sentence.
I am going to drive to Salisbury and malky the utter shite out you. Does that sense?
I don't even know where Salisbury is.
You find out.
Mine.
Well, that seemed to work. Things.
No, it's going
Oh.
Well, we're then going to go and see Rothschild and.
I think what we will do for this session, because of connection difficulties, there's no point in us trying to run a game if one of us is only half here, John.
I think it's a very low bar of like a sense of humor when somebody just needs to say John for me to crack up.
And he's just written on Facebook, no, so I'm guessing he's been disconnected again, which is why we've been left with the frozen face of John. I'm just. I told him we'll pick it up again next week, not to worry.
Yeah.
So there we go. So and he replied with, "I think I'm buggered." So it means he's getting up to more interesting things than gaming right now.
Like fixing one's computer.
Yeah. Oh dear. Well, that's no interfere with his VTM YTE. but he will figure out what's going on by that point. So, Eunice, we were talking bullshit. So anyone who was wanting to watch the Ivory Wall Part 9, that has now concluded. This video is now just going to be us talking crap, as we were
That
before.
means I'm going to get another beer.
Yeah, I don't have any beer. I suppose I could get some whiskey. I'll go and get some whiskey. Eunice, entertain them. Entertain the people.
I got myself a. This is a Estonian porter beer. I don't know if you can see it there. I've had this once before, and I remember liking it a lot. I'm a big fan of porter beers. I like dark stouts and porters, where you can really like have this rather rich taste. I'm not a huge lager fan anymore. Beer is kind of an acquired taste in a sense, so I guess it's only natural that it's kind of progressed in this kind of a going from some mild lager beers and pale beers to more darker and more stronger aromaed ones. So it's kind of the same way as it was with coffee. You first start with lattes or something like that, where there's less and less coffee and more milk or whatever else. And these days I just drink gallons of black coffee. Maybe it just says something about my taste buds or something, but still. Or rather, you just get used to it. You just need a stronger dose. Yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, my memory serves me fine. It's.
I hope you haven't been saying anything terribly offensive while I've been gone. I will be drinking the Black Grouse, a fine whiskey, blended Scotch whiskey, a marriage of fine peated malt Scotch whiskies, and the famous grouse. I'm a big fan of the grouse. It's peatier. I do like bourbon. It goes down a lot smoother, but peaty whiskey like this does warm one on a cold winter day or evening.
I don't know. It's whiskey and cognac have often been like the few ones that just never really have never really like done it for me. I've had great whiskeys. I've had cheap Jack Daniels petrol tasting stuff, and it's still it's just not my thing. I can't find the appreciation for a fine whiskey over crappy cheap whiskey or something like. That just doesn't. I don't have the buds for that. I do like rum and I do like vodka, but I don't know. Whiskey is just. It's just never done it for me.
See, I've got the same problem when it comes to vodka. I couldn't call myself a connoisseur of vodka because it just to me tastes a bit like spirit. It tastes like alcohol, and it's not really an alcohol like gin in a way that has much of a flavour beyond being alcohol. I know that's not always the case. You can get flavoured vodkas and flavoured gins, but for the most part I find them a little too raw on my palate. And I'm not a connoisseur of any alcohol, but I do like a nice whiskey.
Yeah.
But it's definitely worth spending the money to get a nice whiskey, I think.
Yeah, but then again, I don't drink vodka myself in the way that I would drink whiskey. I don't like take small sips and be like tasting it. I only drink it in shots, basically, as this kind of a just take a shot and just.
Who drinks whiskey in sips, brother?
Okay, down that in one go then. I just always felt like with whiskey, same as with like if you eat a lot of garlic, that you just activate a breath weapon where you can just puff air at objects and they just melt.
Well, I do have my garlic beer downstairs, but it is so fizzy. It really just wants to burst out of the bottle as soon as you open it. So it's not a terribly safe drink to have around a PC.
Oh yeah, that's of course.
And it takes so long to actually ease the cap off and let it cool down a bit. I didn't want to be away too long.
Here's a movie I watched. I watched earlier, and I wound up getting a physical copy of it that I warmly suggest to you. A Canadian movie about this. It's a really rough drama about this. There's this woman dies and leaves her adult twin children 2 letters that she charges them with delivering to one of those letters to their father and one of those letters to their older brother. The 2 kids had no idea they had an older brother, and they thought their father had died before they were even born. So it becomes this kind of a thing where they found out that their mother was very much involved in the Lebanese civil war and all that stuff. So they travel there and find all these clues, and it's a mixture of them finding the clues and investigating their mother's past, and the movie showing the scenes of the mother's past. And it has some rough stuff in it, and it has a lot of really great tension. And you know, this is just anybody who's watching who likes movies and who likes thrillers and good dramas and that sort of stuff with tension and stuff. This is definitely one to pick up. I've recently gotten a lot of good movies, like the Belgium actor Matthias Schoenaerts, or however you pronounce his name. I got 2 movies of his. I got Rust and Bone and Bullhead. Bullhead is a Belgian movie, and the Rust and Bone is a French movie. Such great goddamn movies. It's like the Bullhead. The Bullhead is a really great. These are, I think, both of these have been getting like the foreign language Oscar nominations, or at least this one got it. It's set. The first thing when I think of Belgium, the first thing I think of before I even saw this movie is the Belgian Blue Bull. Those ginormously like controlled breeding manufactured bulls that are just their muscle mass is just something that animal rights people should like get their torches and pitchforks for. And it's a movie that centers in this kind of a underground type of a meat and growth hormone mafia in Belgium. And there's this main character who's had this traumatic incident in his childhood where he's wound up having to take growth hormones throughout his growth into adulthood, and he's grown into this like really mentally like almost like underdeveloped stage of set of mind through getting traumatized and with all this stuff. I don't want to spoil the stuff, but honestly, and Rust and Bone is such a good. I think the female actor's name is Marion Cotillard.
Oh yeah, she was in Batman, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was Talia Ghul, and she was the dead wife in Inception.
Yeah.
But she's absolutely brilliant in this one as well. It's like, and also the same male guy who was in Bullhead. It's a love story and a drama about this kind of a deadbeat dad and this woman who becomes an invalid who loses her legs, and they have this relationship develop where the guy takes care of her and they kind of fall for each other. But there's the downside that he's also, because of spending time with her, he's neglecting his son. And with the woman, she's like, she's like keeping herself from spiraling into depression and self-loathing because of her wheelchair state, because of the found lust for life she's found from this man. And there's lots of great drama. There's great acting, and it's just an awesome movie. It's I've been just like my bookshelf is now caked in just awesome movies. It's like I don't even have time to watch all of them because it's like.
Well, once you're done with them, you can send them to me.
Oh yeah, that's true. Though I won't, because I'm a bit of a collector, but I have friends who are collectors to the extent where they want stuff that they never wound up even using. You know, like you can see the amount of source books that you have on your bookshelf. Like I know a lot of people who would have that amount of books and never read them. Just need to gotta catch 'em all type of thing.
Let's think. The ones behind me in the immediate bookshelf behind me there. So all the Dark Ages stuff, the Orpheus material there. We've got Dark Ages, Inquisitor, Mage, and Werewolf. The Requiem material. All the Mummy books so far. A couple of Promethean. Never did buy all of them, unfortunately. And a lot of my Vampire the Masquerade stuff, that carries on in the shelf below with my Werewolf the Apocalypse material. I know I've read all of those. When it starts getting onto the other RPGs around here and on these shelves, obviously I've read all of that because it's sort of Planescape, D&D, that kind of thing. But let's think. Still not read all of Aces and Eights, which are on that shelf. Atomic Highway, I'd love to read it, and for some reason just not got around to it. Wild Talents, and This Favored Land, which is an American Civil War Wild Talent supplement. Yeah, there's still plenty of source books I've bought years ago that I've not read, or core books, and that's kind of to my eternal shame. I suppose I'm so enveloped in World of Darkness now. If I get a World of Darkness book, I'll read it. I will read that from cover to cover, like I'm doing with Demon the Descent now, because I'm running Demon the Descent. But I'll pick up other books, especially at conventions. And often, if I buy 5 books at once, it's unlikely I'll get to book number 4 before I've bought another book that I actually want, and then books 4 and 5 will just stay on the shelf forever and just keep getting superseded forever. They'll just forever be locked away there. It's unfortunate, but the pile to I don't know how well you would be able to, anyone would be able to see the books that I've got down there. That's kind of my to read. Well, I got Wealth the Apocalypse 20 at the top, which I ran at Conception. Cult is near the top as well, which I've been reading. Wraith, of course, I know that because I've been writing for it. I got 2 copies of the Book of Battle and the Book of the Warlord for Pendragon. I only ordered 1 copy of each, and 2 arrived, which was nice. So yeah, some of those are books that I need to really read, and some of them I will probably never do. And I've got a few questions about the board game that's in the background behind the Scarecrow picture right now, which is Legend of Zagor, which is a fighting fantasy board game. Fighting fantasy is the old choose-your-own-adventure books. I believe that board game goes for quite a bit now if you can sell it or buy it. But yeah, anyway, that's my shelves. So you've got your DVDs, I've got all of this shit.
I ain't got no DVDs, they're Blu-ray.
Oh yeah.
Blu-ray.
Have you seen Rubber? I'm fairly certain you spoke to me about it at some point, about the tire.
Who?
Have you not seen it, Rubber?
What? What are you talking about?
It's a movie about a rubber tire, that gains like sentience.
No, I have seen a Hale and Pace sketch as a kid where a rubber tire gains sentience and starts to help people around. And
No, this one doesn't help people. It blows people's heads off. It's an independent movie that was at Cannes a few years ago. I saw it last night with a couple of friends of mine. It's one of the strangest movies I've ever seen. Um, I don't know really whether it's trying to be very clever or just stupid, but it starts with, after a little bit of a preface, a rubber tire in the desert, or in a scrapyard rather, just starts shaking and it stands up. And then just starts rolling around all over the place. And then it comes across a rabbit and starts vibrating violently, and the rabbit just goes poof and blows up. And it finds that it can blow things up and starts blowing people's heads up. And I won't ruin the movie. It's an American film. I know you've not done an American film yet for your one movie from every country. So if you want to go...
No need to advertise that because that's on my Facebook page. It's not like something people follow. But yeah, I made it my 2015 New Year's resolution was to watch a film from every single country that I could get a hold of a film from. And thus far, I'm like 26 countries down. But anyway, something I was wondering, I would like to know, because I'm not that very well versed in the culture of Thailand, in the sense that I would like to know how culturally important karaoke is in there. And that may sound like a kind of a random thing, like, what's up with that karaoke in Thailand, man? But you know, it's in the Only God Forgives movie, which is one of those movies that everybody hates, but I absolutely love. And in that movie, every time the God character basically hands out judgment on sinners after he is dealt with that. It always goes to a karaoke scene after that, with the god singing karaoke, and since the god is represented by a police detective in it, his whole audience is this silent, serious-looking, captivated audience of just policemen, you know, in uniform. And he's like always singing after he's brutally cut off the hand of those who have tarnished their conscience after brutalizing others, and you know, that sort of stuff. You know, and in the other Thai movie that I watched, I can't remember the character's name. The name of the movie was Uncle, whatever his name was, Who Can See His Past Lives, which won the it won the whatever the main prize at Cannes Film Festival. Yeah, it won that a little when it came out. I can't remember which year it came out, but still, in that movie, it's not a giveaway really, because it's like a little thing at the end. But there's a monk who dies. It's like a monk is spending time with this woman, and the woman says, "Let's go to the karaoke bar." And when the monk says, "Yeah," and gets up from the bed he was sitting on the edge of and goes to the door of the apartment, he looks back and sees himself still sitting on the edge of the bed, and it's like this, oh, he died, and now his spirit has left his body, and they go to a karaoke bar. It's like, I would like to know if there is some sort of a cultural, stronger significance having to do with karaoke than in you know, most westernized countries or something like that,
I honestly couldn't guess. I've seen a few Thai movies, and karaoke hasn't played a strong part in any of them, which sounds like a very odd sentence. A very odd thing to say. I've seen it appear quite often in Japanese movies, obviously. I find it far more prevalent there, but I believe they are the inventors of the karaoke, at least as we call it. So, yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know.
You like singing karaoke yourself?
Me, I've not sung karaoke for a very long time. When I was much younger, I was I'm still very fond of the Beatles. And I would sing Beatles songs at karaoke's because I happen to know pretty much the lyrics to all of them, which is developed from a youth listening to Beatles records. And that obviously led to me being a very popular person at the karaoke. When everyone else was singing songs from the 90s, and I was going all the way back to the damn 60s and singing She Loves You. No, I did stick to more Blue Album and beyond, more than the very early stuff. No, Please Please Me. More I Am the Walrus and Sergeant Pepper kind of material. In answer to your question, in short, no, not really. Not recently, anyway. You?
With that, I do, but with that, there's also this kind of a nice little feature that why I sometimes, find myself liking the country I live in, because when you go to any kind of a bar and you look at the karaoke song list, and there's like pop songs, there's like old classics and all that sort of stuff, but there's always a lot of metal songs as well. So I've always when I've sang karaoke, I've never had to sing in a clear voice. It's always just been this always just screamed, stuff about butchering others and farting flames and whatnot. So
well, I would like to invite anyone watching to, if they have any insight into Thai karaoke habits, it would be excellent if they could comment. So there we go.
Yeah, and even though the movie I mentioned, The Only God Forgives, that's also a movie where I watched it with a lot of people. I've seen it like 10 times, and it's one of those where, depending on who I watch it with, there's a lot of different opinions about it. It's not really like it's not like something like David Lynch's Lost Highway, where there's so much like open-endedness where everybody is going to interpret it a little bit differently, but it still is this kind of a surrealistic movie where things represent things, and they don't like, a literalist approach is not the right approach with that movie. But it's still like every time I watch it, I can't find the people I watch it with agreeing with a lot of the stuff that's going on in there. I see it. I see the title of the movie being very literal in the sense I don't see because it has this police detective character there who is punishing criminals by cutting off their arms and all that, but there's so much like visual stuff going on there that hints at the or not doesn't like hint. I feel like it's shouting it with a megaphone that that police detective is actually God, or at least if it's not God, literally it's like the character's conscience, perhaps. But still, it's like. Anyway, uh, yeah, I would like to know that karaoke thing myself as well. I actually, um, with the role-playing books, I've such like a like my big brother calls it having only one slot memory card in my head, like where if I read uh, like let's say I read a role-playing game in preparation for a campaign I want to run. If I read that and I make notes about, I have to make notes about how it actually works and that sort of stuff. I have like note paper and a pencil with me when I read it. Once I've read it and once I've like ran it for the first time, the next game that I run after that, if that's also a new game where I have to study it and all that, if I were to run the game I ran before that, after that, I would have to read the book again. It's like that's why I have a lot of role-playing game books that I haven't read yet because I haven't planned on running them yet. It's like I'm saving them for the time when I'm about to run them because if I read them now, I'm gonna forget pretty much everything that I read.
It's quite odd. When I first started getting into role playing, I would be able to I could read the Player's Handbook, Dungeon Master's Guide, and Monster Manual from beginning to end, despite the fact they're largely written like encyclopedias. You know, they're not really written to be read as novels. They're not like World of Darkness books, for instance, especially not the core rule books. And I could read them, and I could take in all of the information. I still know the D20 system right off the top of my head, despite the fact I've not ran it for a very long time. And yet, these days, I will try reading a new role-playing game and trying to absorb the rules and so on. It's very rare for those rules to just go straight in. In a way, I've struggled with this to a certain degree with the New World of Darkness 2nd Edition stuff. I really like some of the new rules that are introduced, but at the same time, I find myself constantly rechecking them. And it's no doubt an age thing, you know, you absorb knowledge easier when you're younger. But part of me wonders whether games are getting more complicated in a rather silly way. Because Numenera, for instance, the rules set for Numenera, the cipher system, it got sunk straight in. I know it. I just had to read it once, and so, but that was a bit of an anomaly. For other games like that I've ran in recent years, like Shin, the Warring States, and All for One, and various other games, I would probably have to reread the book in order to remind myself of what the rules are. And a lot of role-playing books seem to be getting larger, especially in the case of World of Darkness books. I've actually found Demon the Descent, as much as I'm enjoying it, quite daunting because of what a massive tome it actually is, and the sheer length and breadth of character gen. I can well see how someone new to gaming would see a book like that and think, you know what, I'm not tackling that. That's far too onerous a task.
Yeah, I've actually heard a lot of people mention the what is the transhumanistic science fiction game? Yeah, that's one of the games that I've heard so many people mention that, you shouldn't even, spend the extra time of, or rather, not like you shouldn't, it's just that it's easier to just give the players to give the character sheets to the game master and have him fill them out because it's just such a grueling and long process. And I've heard the same about the hero system. It's this giant book just about character creation.
Yeah.
Because every single possible superpower you could think of, or at least a kind of category with subcategories with branching different ways of doing this, everything is listed out, and everything is like this grueling, long, like phone book, of information, and it's like the first role-playing games I got into were like the 2nd edition D&D, the red box D&D thing, and that had fairly simple mechanics, and also like other games after that were usually like D6 type, fairly simple stuff. And even with World of Darkness stuff, I felt like the mechanics were simple enough, but with something like Werewolf, there's so much setting information to remember that was more grueling than the actual mechanics of the game.
Yeah, I find that I would agree that, well, we were talking about this before we started recording, Werewolf as a setting is far deeper than any other World of Darkness setting, or at least seems to be. You seem to have to know a bit more about the world if you want to run the game as it's written in the book.
Yeah, and not meaning deeper as in it's deep, bro, but yeah.
A lot more complexity to it because of the Umbra, because of the sheer number of supporting characters and antagonists you can have by way of spirits, banes, and the like, and changing breeds. That's not to say you need to have all of them, and indeed most werewolf games I've ever participated in, either as a storyteller or a player, tend to focus on the more basic side of werewolf, which is, werewolves versus the worm, with the occasional kinfolk thrown in. You very rarely get to see a vast number of changing breeds or interact with weaver spirits and things like that.
There's actually, in the Dark Ages werewolf book, it mentions that, because it's the Dark Ages, this whole weaver worm thing is not so out of hand as it is in the modern setting, because the modern setting pretty much created those so that it could make, pollution and all these Captain Planet things, villains for you. But when you go to like the Dark Ages, where there is almost no pollution and all, it's very little like, oh no, they cut some trees down to make a small little fishing village. Oh no! But it's so in that it constantly like is pushing like, oh, you know what would be good? Vampires. You know what vampires are doing in this time setting, all this sort of thing. And I really have never been a fan of mixing the settings. I mean, to a certain extent, yeah, but I've even made a video about it where I feel like if these are supposed to be secret societies, it's not very believable if all of these secret societies, supernatural secret societies, exist at the same time, and also it's this kind of less is more type of a thing of how special does it feel like if you're opening a book and it's like, what, in this world werewolves really exist and people don't know about it, or vampires really exist and people don't know about it? Yeah, but also ghosts and also these demons and these creatures and these fae and these vampires and these gargoyles and whatnot. It's like it starts to feel after reading enough of those books that there's like 20% of the population of Earth are human. Like, it just seems too excessive.
I don't know. I find more and more with the Dark Ages games I run, I'm putting more crossover into it. I know in the last Dark Ages Chronicle I did, there were werewolves in it, not heavily, but they appeared in 2 or 3 sessions. There was at least one mage that appeared, and I don't think they encountered any Inquisitors, although they could have. In this most recent Dark Ages game that I'm running now, the Toreador of the group, this will be in a recap to be recorded, decapitated a verbena mage with a knife using 3 points of celerity and very fast chopping motions. And I find it a lot more acceptable to have that crossover in Dark Ages than I do in the modern era, despite the fact that population numbers are far lower in the Dark Ages, and like you say, if there were that many supernaturals around at that time, you would struggle to justify it. But
yeah, and it's also that in the modern settings with both werewolf and vampire, there's this theme that the blood is getting thinner, and there's like less and less of, less and less werewolves, less and less vampires, or at least less potent vampires. So when you go back in time to the Dark Ages, not only are there less, people around, there's also more of these creatures around them.
I find it doesn't really help to try justifying it, because if you try and work it out by the population numbers, it always falls flat on its face. And the game isn't supposed to stand up to that kind of scrutiny.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm quite happy to just suspend my disbelief and have everything operate in a little vacuum.
Yeah, but I found some things to be kind of where I do have some trouble. I don't mean to be too much of a nitpicker of of course I can just leave it be and enjoy the game, but we were talking about this earlier as well, about how in the even though if you're playing a vampire, there's no need for your character to really have any sort of confirmation whether or not it is actually the case that Cain is real. Cain was, the son of Adam and Eve, and the first murderer, and all this sort of stuff, and the first vampire. All the while also having in the same universe all of the stuff with werewolves and the Umbra and all that sort of stuff. I feel like the werewolf stuff, as well as something like the changeling stuff, are in such a different realm than any of this kind of Christian mythology based stuff.
Oh yeah, well, definitely. But as you know, I tend to just have Cain as the most accepted creation myth, but not necessarily the correct one.
Yeah.
I think vampire and wraith mythology work perfectly well together, and you could potentially put werewolf, mage, and changeling together, because none of them cling to the idea of there being one true god. There is a tradition of mages that believes that, but what we were saying before, or what I was saying before at least, was there's no reason more than one. But no reason a werewolf can't be right at the same time as an inquisitor, because ultimately they're never going to meet God, or they're never going to meet the actual their totem, perhaps. So their power could be coming from anywhere. Why should they know? They just have their own beliefs, just like in real life, really.
Yeah.
Except in real life, no one can wield magical powers, or can they?
Insert Inception. Boom.
Yeah.
But yeah. Still, I'm getting tired as hell. I'm sweating my ass off. And it's like a drunken horse.
In this session, you were going to be meeting up with werewolves and mages who were behind the entire Berlin incident.
Oh.
Yeah, they were werewolf Nazis of Operation Werewolf.
Oh, okay.
Werewolf women of the SS.
Yeah, is Wolf of the SS.
Have you seen any of the Ilsa movies?
Yes. I like my exploitation movies.
Yeah. I would actually be kind of shocked if you hadn't seen any.
They're probably among the first that I ever saw, to be honest. I don't know why I like crap films, because they are almost all crap. There's nothing there that you could say is shot well, acted well, directed well, scripted well. There is very little to redeem any of these movies beyond the fact that they were willing to do things in movies that most mainstream movies wouldn't, which is, an attribute. It may not be a positive one, but it's saying something. I especially enjoy the Catholic ones, the non-exploitation movies, which is a wonderful genre. Most of them are Italian.
I think that's actually quite the majority of these successful shitty exploitation films I've found to be Italian, at
Yeah,
least.
yeah, the Giallo. Did you watch Bavarian Sound Studio? I think I recommended it.
I don't think I did. I can't remember it. I don't think I did.
It's a brilliant movie about a British audio sort of Foley mixer. You know, the person who makes all these sound effects by things like scrunching up paper to so that the sound of a movie sounds like a car starting, or smashes a melon so that there's a sound effect for when a bloke gets an axe in his head, that kind of thing. It's a movie where Toby Jones plays this sort of Foley mixer in the 70s, and he gets a well-paid job heading out to Italy to do the sound effects for a Giallo movie, so an Italian horror movie. And it's this descent into madness and absolute horror. And you don't know how much of it is in his head and influenced by the footage that he's watching as he's having to make these sound effects, and whether he's actually making these sound effects by harming real people or what. It's a genuinely very good film. Mark Kermode, I think, gave it the Best Picture award because of the Kermode Awards about 2 years ago. So I do recommend that. But yeah, I like the non-exploitation movies. I think none of them are on a par with The Devils, of course, which is the Ken Russell movie that, again, Mark Kermode speaks very highly of, and I was very lucky to see a live screening that Mark Kermode was hosting nearby, near to where I live. He doesn't live that far away, to be honest. And The Devils is a movie with Oliver Reed in, which was famously cut to ribbons by the censors worldwide because of an infamous scene where a woman is masturbating with the Christ or a statue of. And it's the idea of the devil has possessed these nuns in a convent. And it's an excellent film that's only ever seen major release in various cut editions. But occasionally you get live screenings of it where you get the full version. And if you ever get a chance to see it, not one non-exploitation movie I have seen matches up to it, but it is a brilliant, brilliant film. And Oliver Reed wasn't although he was a drunk or an alcoholic, to be fair, he was still a very good actor, and he really does make that movie shine like it deserves to. So, you know, one day, you never know, it might see a proper release, but I won't hold my breath.
Yeah. Oh, well. Still, my bladder is about to burst. So.
Well, that seems like an appropriate time to end with your bladder bursting.
Yes.
If you've ever seen the movie Caligula, which is an exploitation movie of its own, I suppose, but with
I've seen only clips and scenes. I haven't seen the whole thing.
There is a scene where a Roman is force-fed red wine and a knot tied around his penis so that he can't urinate, and in the end they cut open his stomach so all the red wine just flows out.
It has. I must say the wall head slicing thing is really cool.
That is, I don't know where that came from, why the director even thought of that, because there's nothing Roman there's nothing historically accurate about that bizarre machine that's going around with the razor blades on.
But I think the most descriptive of how he came up with all this sort of stuff is when the movie starts. It says the year, and it says pagan Rome. That explains it all. Why is it so fucked up?
Oh, well.
Rome. I wonder why the director wants to show it as depraved and perverted and brutal as possible. So, well.
We'll finish, if I may. I think this may be misquoting, but John Gielgud, a famous actor of Britain, British actor, was in Caligula. and he'd been on set for a few days. And Malcolm McDowell, who was also in Caligula, as Caligula, showed up for his first day of filming, and he went up to John Gielgud and he said to him, John, who was a famous homosexual among the acting circles, said, John, how is it? I've heard it's quite pornographic. And John Gielgud was practically bouncing up and down, so, on the spot. And he said, "Oh, it's wonderful, Malcolm. There's cocks everywhere. There's cocks as far as the eye can see." And off he strode, as happy as a lamb.
I'm sure you've heard the John Wayne thing where he was acting. Yeah, he was acting in the crucifixion scene as one of the Romans, and after the shot, the director said, "Do it with more awe." And then when they reshot it, he said, "Oh, truly, that was the Son of God."
Your John Wayne's a lot like your Schwarzenegger.
They're one and the same.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I am going to go off now because I am. Yes.
Yeah. So stopping the broadcast. Thank you all of you for watching and for tuning in. More of you who are watching the game. What's wrong with you? And see you for part 10 of the Ivory Wall and more bullshit.
Yeah. Thank you.